You're listening to What Made You, the podcast that goes beyond the music and dives deep into the moments that shaped it. Join host Deanna Marie as she sits down with artists and creatives to uncover the risks, the setbacks, and the experiences that made them who they are today. The story behind the spotlight starts now.
Today we're diving into the transition from a little mayhem to movie soundtracks, taking a lot of chances without a safety net, getting quite literally knocked down in the process, and then honing your sound along the way. And that's why Mick Fury is here today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So this is not our first time chatting. We were able to sit down last year and you had a lot of wild stories to tell. You've got some pretty crazy experiences. And we're going to get into revisiting some of those, but I kind of want to pick up where we left off. The last time we chatted, you were riding solo with a long-term goal to play with a band again. Are you still reaching for that goal?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, playing with a band is to me the ultimate in music. It's just obviously these days with the economics and with travel and with gas prices, it's always so much more challenging to travel with a band. But yeah, anytime I get a chance, I love a chance. I love the opportunity to play with other guys and share the stage with fellow musicians. It's truly the pinnacle of music for me. So yeah, always shooting for that. Always looking for opportunities to collaborate with friends is the best.
That's one of my favorite stories of yours is when you got knocked over by a little old lady at a gas station the minute you set foot in LA. Would you mind recounting that story for anyone who hasn't heard it yet?
Yeah, thanks for picking the most embarrassing one. Yeah, I've moved all over the country kind of chasing this music thing down. And I'm originally from upstate New York, a little town called Syracuse, and got the idea when I was, 18 or 19 or 20 that I should just move to LA. I never really lived anywhere but my hometown. And I was like, I'm going to move to LA. And, we grew up kind of poor, I guess. So I had some crappy old car, 1989 Mercury something, maybe a Nissan Sentra. Maybe that's, I had a bunch. So many of them blew up that I actually don't remember which one it was I took across the country. But I think I exploded about 4 or 5 80s built vehicles. So yeah, I bought some newer, crappier old car. I think it was a Nissan Sentra, actually. Trying to remember now, but I packed up all my stuff and kind of took a chance, and I moved across the country. And funny enough, along the way, the first place the car broke down on the drive was actually in Nashville, where I live now. Ironically, I didn't know whatever that was 15 years ago. That's where I'd end up. But it was kind of funny to be broken down on Broadway before Broadway was what it is today. That's a whole nother story. But anyways, so I struggled my way out to California with all kinds of car trouble. This one actually did fully explode in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I had to leave it there. It's back in the day when gas stations still actually had mechanics. The car was herking and jerking on the highway, and I pulled in, and the mechanic came out and he goes, "Oh yeah, your engine's seized up. This car is never going to drive again." So, 20-year-old kid, whatever. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I was too young to even rent a car. So I luckily sweet talked the rental guy into letting me rent a car. Through all my crap, I think at that point I had a laptop and a couple of guitars as well as traveling across country with my clothes. So I threw those in the rental, drove to LA, pulled in. I'm a young, dumb kid. I'm wowed by how beautiful it is there and all the beautiful people walking around. And all I knew is, hey, if you don't fill up your gas tank in these rental cars, they kill you. So I'm like, I got to get gas right away and get this car dropped off. I was probably already late to drop it off. So I pull into a little gas station and I'm filling up the tank. And this little lady comes over, and I guess she was homeless. And she asked me for change. And I didn't know. I'm like, I'm sorry, I just got to LA. It's my first time here. I don't have any change for you. And she yelled something at me, and I turned around and she pushed me and slammed me back into the car, and I slammed against the car in this dramatic scene from a film. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I swear to God, this little Asian guy comes out of the gas station like a bat out of hell with a broom, and he swings a broom at her and scares her away. And then he kind of picked me up and dusted me off. You okay? You okay? And I'm like, ooh, man, welcome to LA, bitch. I guess this is what you get. So that was my first 2 steps in LA. I wound up on my ass, but that was kind of the story living out there, actually.
That's why I think I love that story so much, because everyone has, some kind of crazy experience when they're first trying to make it on their own, or, they they take a big risk and they move somewhere new, but nothing like that. I mean, that's, that's pretty unique.
Yeah, it's one of many funny stories. When you, like you said, when you strike out and you take a chance in life and you don't really have a safety net, all kinds of funny things happen. I've been lucky to survive them all, but yeah, there's been
Yeah.
many stories with homeless ladies beating me up and samurai swords and crashing off the side of the road, and I got a zillion tales to tell for another time.
What keeps you like in the game on the days when it's not so fun and exciting? Like when terrible things like this happen that just kind of like throw you off your track.
Sure. I think the motivation has kind of changed throughout the years. I think when I was a little younger and I was living in LA, it was more of the idea of like there's no plan B here. So like you kind of get a survivor mentality where it's like no matter what happens, you just got to get through it, and you guess kind of trust in yourself that like you keep a relatively level head and you'll find your way through. And luckily I have. And then I think as I've gotten older, I've just gotten a little bit more, I don't know if chill is the right word, but I kind of have like a hope and belief that everything is going to work out the way it's supposed to. And if it doesn't, I'm going to take the bumps to my head along the way and just keep going. Cause I enjoy, maybe I'm a little bit like masochistic. I've learned to enjoy the pain. So it's like, yeah, man, there's going to be some bumps along the way, but there's going to be some highs that are going to be world class. And I'm living for those. So.
Yeah. Well, you've always kind of stuck to your guns and really stayed true to yourself. I mean, you seem so sure and so self-aware. Is that like a pressure you've put on yourself, or is that something that just kind of comes naturally?
I wouldn't say it comes naturally. I definitely was probably more hot-headed, egotistical, annoying when I was younger. I'm still pretty annoying, but I think I was even more annoying when I was younger. I think it's just kind of like a maturation process. It's like I've had the advantage of making every single mistake a person can make in the music industry, and so when you've made them all, you kind of learn what to look out for. So as time goes on, I tend to make less mistakes because I go, oh, remember last time when you did that? Maybe don't repeat that. Let's try a different approach this time. So I think if you fall down enough times and cut your knees enough times, eventually you learn to avoid the potholes. And I've gotten slightly better at that as time has gone on.
What would you say is the biggest mistake you think you've made?
Oh man, there's a laundry list of those. Probably like initially it was like thinking I could do this all by myself and that like, I'm the greatest and I'm so good and I can do this whole world by myself and I know everything. It's just like that sort of like young arrogance that you have when like you're invincible and the world is going to bow to your needs. And so I think like getting my ass kicked a couple dozen times in various facets of my life have taught me that like, and most of the stuff's out of your control. And again, you just try to stay optimistic and put a positive spin on everything, right? Like life is just what we make of it. So it's like, oh man, the car broke down, but like, oh cool, I figured out a way to get there and I made a new friend along the way, or I stayed at someone's house and they ended up being really cool. So it's just, I think just a perspective shift has really helped me to maintain this, because otherwise I would have gone insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there have been a lot of those moments too where like some of these really weird experiences kind of paid off for you, because I remember you
Sure.
mentioning one of the first times that you made a connection in LA, and you went to this, like a really like beautiful like sky bar, a rooftop bar, and
Yeah, Sky Bar.
you kind of
Yeah.
like took that dare to jump in a pool, and then all of a sudden your song was in a movie. I mean, can you kind of elaborate on that story for everybody?
Yeah, I mean that's another ridiculous one. Again, living in LA, I'm young, I'm dumb, and I meet a guy that's a record executive, and he's a friendly dude, and so we go out to this fancy bar called the Sky Bar in LA that like you can't get in unless you're on the list, but no one can tell you how you get on the list. It's sort of one of those weird catch-22s, but he of course was. So we get in there, and I think the hotel is called the Hotel Marmont. I kind of forget the name, but beautiful, insanely beautiful hotel with like a glass wall that looks out over all of Los Angeles next to their pool. And, people are wearing, I don't know, fashion, but Armani suits and very, very fancy clothing. And I'm just kind of there in, goofball upstate New York clothing. And I'm talking to the guy that's the record exec, and I'm, of course, just trying to press him for like, hey man, how do we get a meeting with you? I want you to hear my stuff, blah, blah. And we're BSing back and forth. And he's like, we're standing around the pool and everyone's standing around the pool in their fancy clothes. And he's like, I've never seen anybody swim or jump or do anything in this pool before. And I go, I'll jump in the pool. What's the big deal? He goes, oh, if you jump in the pool, you get thrown out of the bar immediately. I go, yeah, so what? That seems like a pretty small cost. Like, what do I get if I get it? He goes, well, if you jump in this pool and splash all these people and ruin all their clothes, I'll sign you to my record label. So 2 seconds later, I'm a cannonballing up in the air, coming down, splashing everybody. I'm swimming through the pool, laughing my ass off. And of course, there's 2 security guards, and they're actually kind of laughing too, because they're sort of, sick of these pretentious people. So they escort me out of the place, and they're like, I get to the door, and the door guy's like, did you just jump into the pool and splash all those people? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, you're on the list, man. Anytime you want to come in here, you just give me the nod, and you're welcome in this bar anytime. They're all regular dudes working security. They thought it was the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And so a couple days later, I had a meeting with the guy, and he's like, I can't sign you to my label, dude. I can't do that. And I'm like, great, typical music industry. He's like, but I'll help you out someday. And so a few years later, he was working on a film, the Underworld movies, which had Kate Beckinsale in them. They're like vampire films. And he's like, listen, I know I couldn't sign you to my label, but we like one of your songs. We can help you get it into the film. So I got a song that my rock band had written, Silent Fury, a song called Exit Wounds, got into one of their films. So it was worth it. In the end of the day, it's like I got a little wet and got escorted out, but I got a song in a film. So I would, of course, do that all again.
It kind of sounds like he was setting you up from the beginning. Like, how much is this guy willing to do? You know?
Yep.
So
and I was just dumb enough to take the bait.
But that's not the first time one of your songs ended up in a movie. You were actually you were asked to write the whole score to a film. So can you elaborate on that project? Because we talked a little bit about it the last time we sat down. But I noticed that recently you were able to share some of it on social media.
Yeah, that was another, again, sort of a weird, all these things. I think the fascinating thing about talking to people in the music industry, songwriters, artists, is that we all take these like really bizarre twisting and turning paths to get to where we are, that like you set out on like a straight shot and like inevitably you double back and you curve this way and you curve that way. And so my life has taken a bunch of these strange turns. And one of them was that during COVID, I was sending some songs into some TV shows and some films just to try to scare up a little bit of cash, pay the mortgage, all that important stuff. And this one particular film, they happened to like my stuff, and they kept asking me to send a few more songs and a few more songs and a few more songs. And my wife and I, at the time, it was about a year into COVID, we wanted to take like a vacation, which we've been trapped in the house like everybody else had for 16, 18 months, whatever it was. So we decided we'd drive from Nashville to California and just putz around California and get some outdoors time. And we were driving across the Golden Gate Bridge. And I'll never forget, I got a call from the director, and he's like, hey, man, the stuff you've been sending, the film you've been sending your music in for, we're trying to get some big name composer. We can't get a hold of him. Would you be interested in doing the entire film? And I literally almost drove the car off the Golden Gate Bridge. I took a big steer to the right, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, sure. I don't know. I've never done this before, but sure. He's like, you think you can do it? I'm like, yeah. My wife's like, say yes. You don't have any money. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. Totally. 100% I can do this. And so I said, what's the movie? And he said, well, it's a film called Panama, and it's got Mel Gibson in it, and Cole Hauser, who people know him as Rip from Yellowstone. Mm-hmm. He's awesome in that show and awesome in the movie. And so for the next year of my life, I locked myself in my home studio, and never having done this before, I kind of bumbled my way through it a few times and eventually got it to where they liked it and I liked it, and we were pretty proud of it. And a couple of years ago, the film came out in the theaters and people got to see it, and just a really lucky, wonderful thing to do. I think about 90 minutes of score and songwriting for this film. I was really, really grateful to get a chance to do that.
It's so incredible to me, because there are a lot of people who kind of have this like straight line trajectory. They know exactly where they want to go and what they want to do. And you have taken so many different opportunities that have brought you to different places, like, from your Silent Fury rock band days to writing scores for films. And then you worked on a couple Irish drinking songs. Like, where are you now in your music?
Just fully mentally deranged at this point. Who knows where the hell I'm. I think what I've figured out is that what I really love is that I just love art, and like whatever inspires me artistically is what I want to pursue. And I've been super lucky that what I have done has interested enough people that I can make a career at it. But yeah, I just sort of chase I'd sort of chase whatever the newest muse is for me. So at one point, like you mentioned, it was a hard rock band. I did a bunch of acoustic albums. I'm currently I'm in the process of releasing songs that are kind of, I guess, drinking songs, you'd call them, just sort of fun, beachy drinking songs. I've gotten involved in the trop rock community, and they love tropical rock. So they love songs about drinking and partying. And I have a bunch of those that I've written over the years. And yeah, I recently took a trip to Ireland, and I have some Irish heritage in my background, and I kind of fell in love with Irish pub songs. And so I came back and, again, following the muse on a whim, I wrote a handful of them, and I think I debuted them one night just as a lark. I'm like, hey, I want to try out one of these Irish drinking songs I have. And I played it, and everybody went nuts for it. And then they started asking for more. And then, like, where's the album of Irish drinking songs? So once this other album is out, I'm going to put out an album full of Irish pub songs sometime this year. That's got about 7 to 10 songs on it that are just fun songs for an afternoon at the pub. So that's where I'm headed these days.
I love that. And you're always so honest, and you go where the inspiration is, but being so honest and like so true to yourself, is there a song that you've written that maybe felt like too honest to release, that maybe you were like scared to put out there to the world?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know if I really necessarily have one like that. I would say that, like, yeah, there's been a few. I have a song from the last album called Can't Let Go, which is sort of about my journey and about, the travels and the trials and tribulations you go through in this world, and how no matter how many times you get knocked down, you just can't let go. Something about this dream keeps you going. But yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of the beauty of music, is that we're allowed to be vulnerable, and we're allowed to sort of show the inside of our soul. And so maybe when I was younger, I would have felt a little bit more hesitant to put out certain tunes. But these days it's like, man, if I felt it that deeply and that it inspired a song, and no matter how personal it is, someone else is going to relate to that. And honestly, maybe somebody else needs that. So I almost feel a responsibility where it's like, if I feel something really vulnerable and really strongly, it's like, I need to put that into a song, and I need to put that out there, because I know what this song would have done for me if I had heard another artist release it. I want to give that to the world, and maybe somewhere out there it helps somebody else get through something they're going through. So yeah, I feel like that's kind of our artistic responsibility, is to be, good shepherds of other people's emotions and to help them through stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you gotten a response like that to any one of your songs, where someone reached out just to let you know like how much it meant to them, or how it changed things for them?
Sure. Yeah. I guess I can kind of look at that from two different sides. I did a song probably, I guess it was 5 or 6 years ago now, that I wrote with a good friend of mine, Sean Patrick McGraw, who's a fabulous songwriter here in Nashville. And we wrote a song called Front Porch of America. And it's sort of a song about how, as Americans, it sort of seems like we can't talk to each other about everything that's going on anymore. We just get mad and emotional. And so I've performed that song all over the country, and inevitably every 2 or 3 times I play it, someone will come up to me and be like, man, I just want you to know, like, I'm a veteran, and I really believe in like what you're saying in that tune. Or like, man, I've lost touch with my parents because they have different political beliefs than me, and I wish that I could reconnect with them. And so that song has had I would say, an overall really positive and wonderful journey through the world. And then on the flip side, I guess I have a bit of an excitable, sort of energetic personality. And so a lot of times, a lot of these sort of upbeat party songs that I write, I can see the joy in people's faces when I play them, and I can sense their like invigoration when I talk to them after the show. And so that always makes me really excited when my energy becomes a little bit contagious, because I try to be positive and I try to be happy and optimistic. And when I can give a little bit of that to the audience, I love seeing that as well.
Yeah, that's got to be really special. I mean, like you said, that's kind of why, you're here, why you do what you do, because you want to connect with people, and you want to, like give them something to feel connected to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of one of our missions as artists. I mean, we can take art many different ways, but the way I don't particularly care to take it is the commerce route.
Mhm.
It's a pretty popular way to take it in Nashville. I understand the urge to, and the need to pay bills and all that, but that's not really why I got into music. Like if I decided I want to make a lot of money, I can certainly tell you music would not have been the choice I would have made. It's a pursuit you do hopefully because you love it, and you love art, and you love the chance to express yourself and to to share that expression with others. And so, yeah, I kind of feel like that's my mission statement. I'm not sure what you'd call it, but that's kind of my belief system, is that I want to make great art that inspires people. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. And I mean, you have had so many great opportunities, and your journey has taken so many twists and turns. But like you mentioned, like the financial aspect of when you're trying to do all this on your own, would you say, is that the least glamorous part of this lifestyle, or do you have a certain aspect in your career right now at this moment that is the least glamorous?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd call the financial part the least glamorous. It's very necessary, and like is always, it's sort of like a background hum that's like, well, hey, you can do this project, but like, can you afford it? Can you pay for this? Can you hire the musicians you need? Can you hire the mixing engineer? Do you have $6,000 to hire a PR team to push this when you get it all done? So yeah, I mean, the financial part's sort of like a constant static that's always there, and it's really good at injecting unnecessary doubt in your process. But I think the least glamorous part is probably like, very, very much of my life is logistics, by which I mean like getting the proper flights I need, and like, do I have the rental car, and like, do I have a place to stay in this town that I'm going to? Like, that part is extremely unglamorous and extremely time consuming. Like, hey, I got to make a flyer for this show. I have to make sure to promote it here, promote it there. It's like, man, I just want to write songs and perform them. I don't want to do all this stuff. But without that other stuff, it starts to fall apart. So it's necessary, if kind of waste, annoying way to spend your time.
Yeah, for sure. And you are that hustler, though, because I remember you telling me how you've pounded the pavement, you've sold tickets to shows, and you've worked really hard to promote yourself and your music. But outside of all that, let's get to know you on a bit more personal level. Like, what does a completely normal non-music day look like for you?
That doesn't exist, but there's always seems to be something to do musically. Like I said, even if it's not writing music, it's always booking flights or anything. But on a day when let's say I've decided, okay, you've just been on tour for 2 weeks, you're home. Today is a day that you can have to yourself. Usually I like to get up in the morning, and I obviously have a beautiful cup of coffee. I'm kind of an espresso fiend. So like, one of my hobbies is to make like the perfect cup of espresso, which I've yet to achieve, but I strive for every single day. And then I love to take walks. I kind of like to, music is, playing shows is very, very much engagement with people and constantly talking to people and being fully immersed in conversations. And that's lovely. And I also need like, hey, nobody talk to me. I need to like take a walk and just get away from everything. And that kind of helps me just reset. So I love that. I like to read a lot. I read like goofy science fiction books. I got a bunch of authors that I love, so I try to read every single day. And then I've gotten really into gardening. So I'll be like, if you'll catch me on a weekend when I'm not on tour, you'll almost certainly see me out in front of my house with some crappy old pair of jeans and some ripped up shirt, just digging in the ground, swearing at some rock that I can't dig out. That would be like a really good day for me, is like a 2-hour battle with a rock that I get to use every curse word on the planet at, and then I eventually get it out and plant some tree or something. That's like a really, and then my wife comes from a very Italian background. And so we just had a day like this weekend. That's why it's easier for me to remember, but worked in the yard all day long. And then she's like, I want to make some like chicken riggies, which is like a specialty from our area. It's like a Utica, New York thing. So she made like homemade chicken riggies, a nice glass of wine, a little bit of Amaro, and just like plopping down on the couch and feeling that like physical exhaustion from digging in a hole and outside all day and having a nice glass of wine. That's the dream for me. That is the dream achieved right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see why that would be rewarding, but it's got to be difficult in Middle Tennessee to be digging through the soil because it's so like full of rock. That's why there aren't a lot of in-ground pools.
Yeah, no, it's all limestone out there. So I got a pickaxe. Actually, it's a Maddox, and I'm just out there, like I said, using every curse word I've heard. I'm making up curse words. I'm really going at it, but it keeps me in shape, and I get outside, and it's the beautiful thing about working on gardening or working on land. I do a lot of landscaping around the house too. Is if you spend 8 hours and you work on it all day, inevitably when you get done, you can see the difference. You can be like, wow, I can really see the work that I put in. A lot of times in music, I can send emails and do stuff for 8 hours a day, and I'm like, has anything changed? Is there any has anything updated or improved? So I love the immediacy of being like, yeah, I just killed myself outside, but like, man, that lawn looks good. So I get excited about that.
Oh, yeah. There's got to be something nice about the instant gratification of doing some gardening.
Yeah, there's something beautiful about like working with your hands. Like I
Yeah.
just love the idea of like, and I was never a very handy person, and I've grown to be slightly handy. And I'm as proud as my ability to change out a faucet as I am to write a song these days. I love fixing stuff. It's fun.
All right. So, on the flip side, what's something about you that people might assume is true, but couldn't be more wrong? Have you ever had any like quick judgments?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily what people think, but I could see where they could get the idea that like, and maybe my past has a bit to do with this, but that like I'm a party animal, go crazy, drink all the time,
Okay.
out of control kind of person. My show is that. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of like, let's do shots. But like when I'm home to combat that, like I said, I'm walking all the time. My
Yeah.
wife and I are kind of like crunchy hippies. We grow half our own food. We buy organic stuff. So we're like totally weird, annoying new age hippie people. So I don't know if people would know that about me, but I'm definitely the kind of person that would irritate you at a dinner party where you're like, oh man, he's talking about where the food comes from again. Shut the hell up and just have a drink, man. That's kind of me. So
That's great. All right. Are you in the mood for a couple like quick rapid fire questions?
hit me. Yeah, I don't think
All
so
right.
well, but go for it.
What's your most irrational pet peeve?
My most irrational pet peeve. Uh, Rapid fire people parking in front of my house. I don't know why it bothers me, but if someone parks in front of my house, I'm like, what the hell? There's a whole street. Why is this guy directly and like end of the day, it doesn't matter. It never matters
Yeah.
that they're there, but it just bothers me on a level that I can't explain.
You're like, what business do you have parking in front of my
Yeah.
house?
I'll like peek up. I'm like the creepy guy peeking out the windows, being like, what is this guy doing? Why is it? And then it's always like something harmless, like, oh, it's an Amazon guy. Like it's not a big deal, but yeah, that would be an irrational anger I have.
So, have you seen the Nate Bargatze special where he talks about being that guy? Where he's like, the dream was always, to like live on this street with great neighbors and in a pretty little cul-de-sac. And he's like, and now I'm that guy where like a car comes through that you don't recognize, and he's like, get out of my cul-de-sac.
Yeah, I have seen that special, and I do relate to that. I'm like the curmudgeon that's like on my front porch drinking a Guinness, being like, why is that guy going 27 miles an hour instead of 23 miles an hour? Like I'm like the Karen of my neighborhood now. I hate that about myself, but
Oh, that's
can't help
great.
it.
Okay, what's a hill that you will absolutely die on, no matter how dumb it is?
That Americans don't know good coffee and that they drink
Ooh,
garbage at Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts and Seven Brew, and they
okay.
drink coffee out of plastic cups and paper cups. And it's like, man, a proper coffee from a proper local coffee shop in a ceramic mug is one of the most unbeatable beverages on the planet. And these people with these like, giant 16-ounce, they're drinking dessert. You're not drinking a coffee at that point. You're drinking a dessert. And it's like, man, I don't know how I had 4,000 calories today. I'm like, well, 2,200 of them are in that drink. So like, just get a delicious cup of black coffee, maybe a little bit of cream, maybe a cappuccino. But that's where I stop. Stop at the cappuccino, get in a ceramic mug and buy it from your local coffee shop. It's life-changing.
Yeah, yeah, I can agree with that. There's just something about the smell and the taste of like a really solid plain coffee.
I mean, I love whiskeys. I love wine. I love so many drinks. If you told me there was only one I could have for the rest of my life, it's absolutely going to be a beautiful cup of espresso. I will turn down any other drink to have a beautiful cup of espresso, and they're regularly available if people just put a little bit, a little bit of effort in.
Very nice. Okay, what kind of music do you listen to when you're in a bad mood?
When I'm in a bad mood, I don't know that I necessarily turn to music when I'm in a bad mood. I really, really try hard to not be in a bad mood. Of course, it inevitably happens, but I'm more the type to like pace in my bedroom and just swear about things that happened like four or 5 years ago. That's like my music is like my own internal machinations. So, I mean, I guess what is a typical answer? Like, oh, I like to listen to like metal music and just rage out. That's not really me. That's not how I handle
Okay.
madness. For me is like, I'm going to like take a walk around the block and be like that crazy old guy muttering to himself, like screaming at the clouds. That's like, that would be my music for when I'm angry.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, is there anything that you go to when you're in a good mood?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think musicians, I think we're often kind of bizarre in our music tastes. You know, it's like we see music through a different lens. And so for me, anything that I'm like familiar with or like lands close to like what I understand in music is, I don't want to say it's a turn off. I enjoy listening to it at times, but I like to listen to stuff that's like further out where it's like I have like no real conception of how this was made, and that I can enjoy it as like a listener again and not just as like why is that bass line doing that? How come that drummer did that? Oh, he skipped the thing, like, you know, to get too analytical with it. So we often, you know, we like to do like dinner parties with our friends, and I'll love to put on like a Spanish music playlist or like a French cafe playlist and like listen to stuff in a foreign language that I can get the vibe of the tunes and feel like I'm having dinner in some like cool narco movie, like in Costa Rica or so. I don't know, like that. I like it when it like puts you in a place and it gives you the sense that you're living like a cool life. That's the kind of stuff I like.
No, I can totally relate to that. I have a habit of like Shazamming a song I'll hear like in a cafe or in a bar if I really like the vibe of the song, and then I'll just like let it create its own playlist at home.
That's cool. Yeah, it's a great way to do it. I love that.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. And lastly, what are you currently overthinking?
Oh man, I mean, politics, I guess, is like a hard one. I don't want to talk about it, but it's constantly on my mind and constantly running through my head, and I wish it wasn't, but that seems to be our world these days. So yeah, overthinking. You know, are we all gonna die? I hope not. I don't know. I overthink that though. I certainly do.
Yeah, I can get that one. Well, I do want to talk about what you've got going on. You just recently wrapped a tour. You're getting ready to head to Key West. Tell us what's coming up for you on the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, gosh, that's one of the most exciting events of the year, is to get a chance to go down to the Key West Songwriter Festival. I've gone, I think, 6 or 7 times since I've lived in Nashville. It's always a wonderful experience. You know, all the good songwriters, plus me from Nashville, go down there, and everyone kind of lets their hair down and has a couple of drinks, and you can catch up with people you wouldn't normally talk to and see performances you wouldn't normally see. So I'll be down there. I have a couple of like proper performances, like, you know, 2-3 hour shows at the Margaritaville down there in Key West. I'll be playing those, and then I'm flying out. I play a bunch of house concerts, so I'm flying out to California to play some house concerts, and I have a pretty full schedule from here until, gosh, I'm almost December of just playing house concerts and songwriter festivals. I'm also going to play the St. Augustine Songwriter Festival in the fall. So
Nice.
yeah, just a lot of great opportunities to share my stories and my songs and connect with folks.
Very cool. And being that this is the second time we've been able to sit down and talk, and your music has evolved and gone in so many different directions. You've got your hand in a lot of different pots. If someone were to discover your music today for the first time, is there a certain song you'd want them to go listen to first?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one because I have a lot that I'm super, super proud of. But I would say probably like I have a song called Tullamore Don't. It's an Irish pub drinking song, and the only reason I direct people there is because that's where the next iteration of the music is headed. So if you want to get a head start, it's just a goofy song about my favorite Irish whiskey that I wrote with my friend Sean Patrick McGraw and Adam James Diebold. And you know, the beautiful thing about really, really good Irish music, if you have a chance to listen to it, is that it initially comes off as like, oh, this is really fun and like kind of dumb and great and like it makes me feel good, but often the lyrics are like a lot more clever than you initially give them credit for. And so I would like to think we achieve that in Tullamore Don't. There's some stuff in there that's like on a second listen, you're like, oh, that's actually kind of clever. And so it's kind of clever. It's fun. It makes you laugh. That's kind of where I'm at these days.
Perfect. Yeah. And I had the pleasure of hearing some of that the last time we were together. So I can definitely say like that was one of my first takeaways was these lyrics are kind of intriguing when you listen to them, you know, because like the melody is upbeat and it sounds like a fun Irish drinking song, like you said, but you have to pay attention.
Yeah, a little bit. You got to dig in a little bit. And the album has a bunch of tunes like that, where it's like on initial blush, you're like, oh, that's kind of a stupid fun song. And then you listen back and I hope people go, Oh, well, he's not totally stupid. There's a couple of good lyrics in there. That's what we're trying for.
Love it. Well, really looking forward to more of that sound coming from you. And, best of luck on all the travel opportunities you have coming up. Where can we follow you to watch the journey?
Sure. Yeah. I guess wherever your least favorite or not least favorite social media platform is, I'm on all of them. So it's just Mick Fury or mickfury.com. And I always post. I'm pretty active on Facebook and Instagram are probably my two most active places where I post tour dates and new videos. I just posted one recently. So yeah, if people want to give me a follow on there, and then of course, all the annoying streaming services, so Apple Music or Spotify, wherever you get your songs from, there's always stuff on there, and YouTube as well. I'm always putting up goofy videos on there. So pretty much anywhere you don't want to be, I'm there waiting for you.
Perfect. Follow Mick Fury everywhere. Thanks so much for taking the time to sit and chat with me again. It's fun catching up and, seeing where you are now compared to just like this time last year. And I look forward to what's coming up for you.
Well, thanks again for having me. And man, best of luck on your journey too. It seems like you're kicking butt.
Thank you. Working on it.
Awesome.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of What Made You. Follow the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube to see exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and teasers of upcoming guests at What Made You Podcast.